Ethan Hall was invisible in the office, but behind his silence hid one of the most precise digital heists the banking world had ever seen. Martha Leland thought she found a safe investment, but instead, she was bait in a global con masterminded by a man who didn't exist. Adrik Novak was once a cybersecurity prodigy, now he's the most wanted digital ghost on Earth. Ray Thomas was the perfect broker, calm, charming, and completely fake. No one suspected that a dating app called Alita Connect was the gateway to a $38 million heartbreak, designed by people who never intended to fall in love, only to steal. It started with an email that seemed too good to be true. A digital finance firm called Voxridge Global was offering remote positions with flexible hours and high pay. Their branding was slick, their website looked professional, and they claimed to be expanding into Asian and European markets. For many young professionals struggling with unstable incomes, it felt like a dream come true. The application process was smooth, no interviews, just a short form and a signed NDA. Once accepted, new hires received daily tasks that involved transferring money between various digital wallets, processing crypto payments, or completing financial audits for international clients. Each task promised a 5% commission. At first, everything ran like clockwork. Payments were prompt, task instructions clear, and performance bonuses generous. Dozens of online reviews praised the company as a hidden gem for remote work. Social media groups were full of testimonials, screenshots of earnings, and tips on how to get more tasks. No one suspected that anything was wrong, but behind the scenes, Voxridge Global didn't have clients. The money being passed around wasn't legitimate. It came from hacked business accounts, phishing scams, and fraudulent investment sites. The so-called employees were unknowingly acting as money mules, laundering stolen funds through peer-to-peer payment apps and crypto exchanges. Their clean identities made the transactions harder to trace. By the time red flags started appearing, tasks being delayed, customer support going silent, payments stalling, it was already too late. Voxridge's website vanished without warning. Emails bounced back. Chat groups were deleted. Confused workers who tried to report the company were shocked when police began asking them questions instead. International banking watchdogs revealed that over $40 million had moved through the system. Several employees were briefly detained during investigations, forced to explain their involvement. Most were cleared, but their digital reputations suffered. Some had unknowingly helped fund identity theft rings, dark web transactions, and offshore fraud operations. It was one of the most sophisticated deception networks seen in recent years. The company never existed. The faces behind the operation were fake AI-generated headshots, synthetic voices, and pre-recorded video messages. It wasn't just a scam. It was a well-oiled machine built on trust, speed, and digital illusions. And for the hundreds who fell into its trap, the damage went beyond money. It shattered their confidence in online work, trust in technology, and belief in opportunities that once felt real. In Miami, a pattern began to emerge that puzzled financial investigators. Elderly victims were reporting identical stories. An investment broker named Ray Thomas had promised to grow their retirement savings using cutting-edge artificial intelligence and crypto markets. He spoke in a calm, professional voice, offered video consultations, and even provided digital brochures that mimicked real financial institutions. The returns were modest at first, just enough to appear legitimate. Within 3 months, many of his clients had received small profits, which convinced them to invest more. Some took out second mortgages. Others liquidated lifelong savings accounts. In every case, the money was transferred to a sleek platform called Matrix Pro, which featured live market feeds, real-time portfolio updates, and an active customer support team. To the victims, it felt like they were watching their wealth grow every day. Behind the scenes, nothing was real. Matrix Pro was a FOD coded to simulate market activity, complete with fake charts and synthetic user activity. There were no trades, no investment algorithms, and no regulatory licenses. The entire interface was controlled by a group of fraudsters using rented servers and bulletproof hosting services. The small profits early on were part of a psychological trick designed to build trust and encourage larger deposits. Ray Thomas didn't exist. His face was generated by AI, his voice was a deepfake overlay, and his credentials were lifted from a deceased financial advisor. Every point of contact was routed through proxy servers and temporary phone numbers, many based overseas. When the site abruptly shut down, the panic was immediate. Clients called banks, reported losses to the authorities, and tried contacting Ray, only to find every email returned undeliverable. As complaints flooded in, investigators discovered the same wallet addresses linked to numerous scams across the United States and Europe. Over $75 million had been funneled into crypto mixers and layered across hundreds of anonymous wallets. Most victims would never see their money again. The most chilling detail was how perfectly it all had been timed. Every email, call, and payment was part of a larger script crafted not to steal quickly, but to build a believable world. It wasn't just a financial crime, it was psychological warfare. The scam had blended technology, manipulation, and precision in a way that left even seasoned investigators stunned. Ethan Hall had always been invisible in the office. As a cybersecurity analyst at a mid-tier London bank, he spent his days buried in code, reviewing firewall logs and responding to phishing alerts. Quiet and diligent, he rarely spoke in meetings and never drew attention. But behind that silence, Ethan had discovered something few ever noticed: a flaw deep within the bank's internal transaction monitoring system. It wasn't obvious. It took him months of late-night testing and careful observation to confirm. The system failed to flag duplicate transactions if they were followed by a rapid reversal. If timed correctly, money could be duplicated briefly, then redirected without triggering alerts. Ethan didn't report it. Instead, he made a plan. He brought in two people he trusted: a former co-worker who now ran a shell software company, and a cashier within the bank's operations center. Together, they launched a slow, deliberate operation. They started with small withdrawals from dormant corporate accounts, amounts so minor they escaped audits. Each withdrawal was filtered through fake LLCs, then washed through prepaid cards, online casinos, and overseas wallets. The trio tracked everything with surgical precision, always avoiding patterns. Over 18 months, they stole nearly $9.6 million without anyone suspecting. What brought them down wasn't the system, it was greed. Ethan bought a luxury car and posted it online under his real name. A compliance officer spotted the post and flagged it as suspicious. An internal review was launched, and while the transaction system appeared clean, the audit team noticed subtle inconsistencies. Some accounts had unexplained micro-adjustments and time-stamp gaps that didn't align with bank activity logs. It took weeks to unravel, but when investigators followed the trail, it led them to Ethan's desk. His access logs, though partially wiped, revealed late-night sessions and manual overrides. When police raided his apartment, they found a hidden server under the floorboards containing detailed spreadsheets, offshore account details, and an encrypted ledger of every stolen dollar. Ethan didn't resist arrest. The bank recovered just over $3 million, the rest believed to be scattered in cold wallets and accounts beyond legal reach. Ethan's case became a textbook example in cyber fraud circles, a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous threat doesn't come from outside hackers but from the quiet employee who knows exactly where to look. In Singapore, a wave of financial losses swept through the city's professional elite, all connected by a common thread: an exclusive dating app called Elita Connect. Marketed as a premium platform for high achievers, it required users to submit professional credentials and undergo verification before being allowed access. The app offered sleek design, well-crafted profiles, and a level of privacy that made it feel secure. But behind its polished appearance, Elita Connect was a trap carefully constructed to exploit trust and vulnerability. The scam began subtly. Users would be matched with attractive, intelligent individuals who shared common interests and high-status careers. Over days and weeks, the conversation deepened, and slowly, the topic of investing would surface. The matches claimed they were already profiting from a trading platform called LunaTrade and offered to teach their partners how to get started. LunaTrade appeared legitimate. It featured a user-friendly dashboard, live chat support, and convincing real-time charts that mimicked global market movements. Users could watch their investments grow rapidly, often doubling in value within days. Encouraged by the results, many began investing more. Some emptied savings accounts, others borrowed from family or took personal loans. The entire experience was tightly choreographed. Once a user deposited a significant amount, attempts to withdraw were met with delays. LunaTrade claimed there were verification issues, compliance checks, or temporary freezes due to suspicious market activity. Within days, the app stopped working altogether, and support channels went dark. The money was gone. As complaints piled up, Cybersecurity experts traced the scam's infrastructure to a network of servers based in Eastern Europe, shielded by fake domain registrars and anonymous hosting services. The profiles on Connect were AI-generated, with deepfake images and scripted personalities tailored to match each target's preferences. Even voice messages were created using cloned voices, crafted to sound warm, trustworthy, and emotionally engaging. The operation was massive, targeting over 3,000 individuals across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, siphoning more than $38 million in less than a year. Law enforcement managed to dismantle part of the ring, raiding a call center used for managing fake support requests. However, the core leadership vanished before arrests could be made. The victims were left not only with financial loss but also deep emotional scars. They had been manipulated at their most personal level through affection, trust, and the illusion of love. It was a scam that didn't just steal money. It shattered human connection. As investigators combed through the wreckage left by Voxridge Global, Matrix Pro, Ethan Hall's banking breach, and the Connect romance scam, a startling pattern began to surface. In each case, forensic teams traced part of the digital infrastructure back to a single recurring IP address. It was masked through layers of VPNs, proxy servers, and rented cloud instances. But one location kept appearing during system configuration logs: a residential apartment block in Kraków, Poland. Acting on the tip, Europol agents raided the address. The apartment was nearly empty, but what remained told a chilling story. Inside were 12 smartphones, 9 encrypted laptops, and multiple hard drives containing digital blueprints of each scam. Diagrams mapped out the recruitment systems for fake jobs, scripts for impersonating brokers, and templates for deepfake dating profiles. Password-protected files revealed transaction histories, showing how funds moved through crypto mixers, shell companies, and gambling sites. Everything had been planned with military precision. At the center of it all was the name Adrik Novak. Adrik had once been a promising white-hat hacker, recruited by a cybersecurity firm after exposing vulnerabilities in a major banking app. But after being caught trying to sell zero-day exploits to the dark web, he was blacklisted from the industry. What followed was a slow descent into digital crime. Rather than target systems head-on, Adrik turned to people. He understood that the weakest point in any security framework wasn't code, it was human behavior. He studied psychology, social engineering, and artificial intelligence. Then, he built networks that exploited all three. Each scam under his command operated like a business unit. Remote workers were trained to play roles, call scripts were tested through behavioral analysis, and user interfaces were designed with input from UX experts. The scale was staggering: dozens of platforms, hundreds of synthetic identities, and thousands of victims. Yet, by the time law enforcement linked it all together, Adrik had already disappeared. A single message, buried deep within an encrypted server, was the only trace of his mindset: if you can't fix the system, profit from its flaws. Morality is just bad code. The international manhunt for Adrik Novak continues, with sightings reported in Prague, Buenos Aires, and Istanbul, but none confirmed. His stolen funds remain scattered across blockchain ledgers, frozen wallets, and unknown identities. He is a ghost in the machine, a mastermind who rewrote the rules of cybercrime and vanished before the world even knew his name.